Have you ever played a brilliant move in a chess game? And was that brilliant move a queen sacrifice? And was that queen sacrifice followed up by yet another queen sacrifice? I just played what must be my best defensive game of all time, and not because I played well, but because I was able to hold a absolutely terrible position for long enough to turn the tables on my opponent. Let's check it out. The first 15 moves of this game on my part were absolutely horrendous, but I was able to pull it off. So we have e4 and c5, a Sicilian defense. Okay, c3, a good old Alapin, and e5, which I'm already not very familiar with. So I go ahead and just play d4 and trade in the center. And I was expecting, just takes, and my queen to get hit, or maybe I would have played knight f3 or something like this. And I figured I was fine, I've still got my e-pawn in the center. But after bishop b4 check, knight c3, I should have gone bishop d2 or even knight d2, just because knight c3, and now my knight's pinned, which normally is fine, except this e-pawn is always threatening to take if I'm not careful and attack my pinned knight. And we'll see how that becomes very annoying very quickly. So bishop g5 pins the knight on f6 to the queen, but queen a5. And this is already not great for me, because the knight's no longer pinned, and it's attacking the e4 pawn, because my knight isn't defending it. And if it takes that pawn, it's going to be adding a third attacker onto my c3 knight and attacking my bishop. So this is getting very ugly very quickly. Now, I should have played, apparently, queen d3. This I didn't like because I thought knight e4. And I can't even take back because of takes, and queen takes c3. Check. And I'm forked. I lose my rook. Except, this is as far as I looked. After king e2, you can't take the rook on a1 because black gets checkmated with queen e5, queen e7, and queen e8 mate. So you can't take the rook. I completely missed that. Instead, the computer gives this crazy line, king b2, king up to f3. Why is the king on f3 and why is it equal? My goodness. And knight c6. And, rook b1, queen here check, and just queen d3. Computer says queen d3, okay, knight d4 check, king g3, and knight here check. And you can't take this now because you're pinned. So the computer says king h3. This is ridiculous. And now queen takes, and apparently this is just fine for white. This is just equal. With the king on h3, scattered pieces all over the board. Black has the entire center, is going to castle and get the rook here and has the passed pawn, but apparently this is fine for white. Ridiculous. I did not play any of that. Instead, what I play, let's go back here, is knight e2. Knight e2. The best thing I could find was this. Sacrificing on purpose the e4 pawn to go back with the bishop, because I thought I was already screwed at this point. So I was like, okay, let me sacrifice a pawn and try and hold everything together and maybe get my pieces out in castle. That's what I'm hoping for. My knight also protects against e takes d4 here. Okay, so the knight takes on d2. So now this battery here, this pin is really annoying because I got a queen and a king on the other side, so I really can't move this knight anytime soon, even if I get my king out of the center. But let's see. We have castles from black, and I play knight g3. This is a terrible move. I needed to play something like rook d1 or even a3, which is weird because it doesn't even attack the bishop, because if nothing happens, you can't take or you lose the rook here. So yeah, but computer says a3 and just like knight c6, d takes c5, and just like pretend like nothing is happening here and like your king is not about to get absolutely slaughtered. No idea. So I play knight g3, trying to get my light squared bishop into the game. But after e takes d4, queen takes d4, knight c6 hits my queen, I drop back, and d5. This is very, very unpleasant for white. The rook is coming in to give a check at any moment, and d4 is on the way. and I wouldn't be able to take because of the knight. And that would fully just win the knight here. So I play knight back to e2. The knight went to g3 and now is going back to e2 to prevent d4. This is, my bishop is locked in, and after rook e8, my knight is pinned. So d4 is threatened once again. So you know what I do is long castle, which is the best move, even though it's -4, basically, for black. Long castles, bishop takes c3, knight c3, and there's d4. There's d4. This is a passed pawn. It is crashing through. The light squared bishop is coming in. Both of the rooks are here, ready to slaughter on the open files, and I just have nothing. So after I drop my knight back to b1, trying to hold my king together, queen takes a2. I am down 2 pawns now with a completely naked king on c1 and no development. This is insane. I am completely lost. But I was almost about to resign around this point. Almost. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make him prove it. I'm going to make him prove that he is winning. So I go ahead and play bishop d3, finally on move 17, activating my bishop, preparing to go to c2 if need be, because I figure a rook is coming to the c file, so I want something to be able to block the c file. We have bishop e6 and knight a3. Knight a3 looked to just take away the a file from the queen, so it has less squares to have access to. And rook c8, there it is. The knight is threatening discoveries left and right here, so I play bishop c2, preemptively defending against any discoveries. He goes ahead and plays knight e5 anyway, but queen takes d4? It's still completely lost, but I got one of my pawns back. And there's not a clear way forward. Computer says bishop f5, adding pressure to the pinned bishop, of course. Or, something like knight c4 even. But my opponent plays rook takes c2. Spent 35 seconds on that move. And this gives me the one thing that I need. And that is hope. Rook takes c2 gives me hope. Because I take back with the knight, and queen a1 is protected by the knight, and I didn't see a knockout for black because I just have material now. Bishop b3 attempts to get rook c8 and pin the knight to the king, threaten to take, and also once pinning the knight or capturing, queen a1 check. However, here I find the brilliant move. Queen takes e5. A queen sacrifice. This one isn't that hard to see, albeit, but computer gave me a brilliancy, so I'll take it. Queen takes e5. You cannot take the queen because you get mated. This would be checkmate, back rank. Okay, so if I take the knight, he can't take back, right? So if I take, and then I had to be careful about rook c8. But I figured I'm going to be okay, because I can just defend my knight, or, after rook c8, once again, sacrifice the queen, with queen c3. Once again, utilizing the back rank weakness of the king. If this pawn were on h6, none of this would be possible. But because the king has no luft off the back rank, I can just keep dancing and fighting the rook here. You can't take because it's mate. Look at that. Beautiful stuff. So he plays queen a1, but just knight takes. And he tries to just exchange everything off the board, but look at this. I'm up a knight and a rook. And this is child's play, of course. Now I take a couple of pawns. I push my c-pawn all the way forward. He's literally just shuffling his king back and forth here. And I go ahead and take these pawns and ladder mate in the center of the board. Don't you just love brilliant queen sacrifices? And if you want to see another game with a brilliant queen sacrifice, make sure you check out this video where Paul Morphy sacrifices his queen for checkmate. It's one of the most famous chess games ever played, the opera game, and if you don't know it already, every chess player needs to, so make sure you check it out. Alright, have a great day, guys.